Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I need to pour some tea. Oh, it's so green. Mmm. Completely not visible to you because of the black background. Look, it's super green. You can't really see it. All right, oh, that's a you can spend your time trying to figure out what that is. It's a list of all the shows that I've recently watched for Treasure Hunt, which I listed out so that I would have a list of them and I'd be able to go back through my videos later and edit them up. We're here for Zeta Gundam. It's Thursday, and so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to stay as consistent as I can here and be less absolutely fallen apart. Because that's how you put yourself back together. I think is you try to do the things that you would do if you were put back together, and you continue doing those repeatedly in a formal structure that allows you to, like, I don't know, be a person. Anyway, I just got out of the shower. I'm ready to go for some Zeta Gundam. I'm excited to start where we're at. I'm kind of intrigued by where we're at, and there's some specific elements that I want to bring up. This is the drawing that I did today. It's very clearly Gundam, and it's Gundam. That's a Recoa, and that's a Fa Yuri, and that in the middle is a snake with curly hair. Because it's Rosamia, and she's a snake in the garden, and she doesn't know what the fuck is going on. Rosamia Badam has entered the Argama with the belief, loosely held, very strongly held by her, loosely accepted by everybody else, that she is in fact Camille Bidan's sister, and long-lost sister from elsewhere. And he's like, dude, I fully don't have a sister. And she's like, dude, I have a picture. It's you. I'm your sister. Let me into the ship so that I can definitely not murder everybody and sabotage your operations and get triggered as a super mega new type thing. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like she's been brainwashed. It's the thing that makes sense to me is like, well, she's a cyber new type and they've done fucky shit with people's minds and memories before. And so, you know, you discover that she's not a very good pilot, or that maybe there's something fundamentally wrong with taking cyber new types and making them pilots, or as Tomino might say, there's something wrong fundamentally about taking women and making them pilots. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of problems stacked up on top of each other, and so you try to recycle what you got. You know, reduce, reuse, recycle, Rosamia, and reduce, reuse, recycle, Rosamia. And that seems to be what she is. She's like a recycled cyber new type, a past experiment now being leveraged in a different way. We've got some chatting going on between one Boris Karloff, Babst Newman, glasses guy, Zeta Gundam grips. That guy. Bask Ohm. Fuck. Babst Newman. What was the first one I said? I forget. Oh, Boris Karloff. No, that one actually tracks. Let me look up Boris Karloff, because he's got quite a face to him, and so does Bask Ohm. Oh man, you could get Karloff to play Bask 100%. 100%. That would be great. Oh my god. Oh my god, I could so see it. I don't know who you get that's better than Karloff to play Bask Ohm. Holy shit. Okay, anyway, Bask Ohm is on the move. He's taken up some of the reins from Jamatov Haimim and decided to do things on his own. He's also taken over the big ship, the Dogosegier. That one. Paptimus Sirocco has stepped out of the way, schemingly. I don't think that that's an adjective that works there, but you know what I mean, right? He's like, he stepped out of the way schemingly, because it somehow plays deeper into Sirocco's own plans. Weird. Bask is doing stuff. They've talked a little bit about using the colony laser, and that's kind of scary. It's sort of that whole colonies falling from the sky thing that we've got Beltorchika being all scared about, and lots of other characters having these visions about, and that's a little freaky. And so there are threats from the outside, and they're building, and there are threats on the inside, and they're new, and they're named Rosamia Badam, and I'm really intrigued to see what happens. We've got the ability, potentially, to upset the internal politics of the Argama in a really interesting way that hasn't been possible before. We've had infiltrators, but they were mostly, we had that one guy who we picked up at one point, and he was chilling on white base, but he was a bad guy, and everybody knew he was a bad guy, and they had him kind of under lock and key, but not well enough, and then he escapes, and people are like, oh no, the guy who's clearly on the other side escaped and did some stuff, but that wasn't an infiltration. That wasn't like a trust development, confidence game, bullshit, wool over your eyes, insanity thing from a pre-programmed secret agent special spy Rosamia. That's new. This is new stuff, and I'm excited for it. I don't know why. So I drew this morning, and I used reference points for Recoa and for Fa. Fa turned out poorly, but Recoa turned out okay, and the snake is I find the snake very funny because it's a snake, I slithered at your gut, and then it's just got curly hair, and that's Rosamia. I was curious as I was sort of finishing up the drawing to my own satisfaction. I was like, well, why haven't I drawn Emma Sheen? Why haven't I drawn like Sarah or Emma Sheen or Haman Karn or any of these other, because these are all female characters. We've had Jared and Camille are sort of the binary opposition of the young man, or the two sides of that at least. And then you've got sort of Bright and Shar as different aspects of different things, and different captains as different aspects of different things, and Jamatov and all these other older characters as a hugely well-articulated male cast, and a fairly constrained, comparatively, female cast, though there are plenty of them. Why is it that these three strike me as the most on it, the most in frame? And it made me realize that we haven't really focused much on Emma Sheen for a while. There have been little instances of interplay with sort of, not joking, but unfulfilled romantic possibilities spiraling around Emma Sheen and that one Commodore Captain, whatever his name is, Hankin. Hankin. She's been around and she's been doing things, but she hasn't been front and center, and I think it's because she doesn't mean something to Camille in quite the same way right now. All of these characters are in large part characterized in their relationship to Camille. Recoa, very much like Amuro, looked at that one captain with the red hair, the commander with the red hair early on in his journey as like this vision of older femininity that he was very interested in. That's sort of the role that Recoa played to Camille and then broke out of as she chose her own path and is now fighting on the other side for her heart, she says. But she's there in the story and pivotal in the story, and Fa is right there all the time. And they're like diametrically, and they've piloted the same mecha repeatedly, and they're like diametrically opposed variants of what you can do with what you've got, what path you take. Fa, while she's fought against it and pushed her boundary as far as she can push it, she's come to the conclusion, it seems, that staying on the ship and taking care of things is her role. Whether we agree with that or not is sort of irrelevant. The character has come to that conclusion. Obviously at the hands of the authors and all that stuff, but the character has come to that conclusion, as though she could think, right? And so we sort of assume that she can, because she exists in a way. And she exists inside the minds of the creators as a real person who writes her own story, in a way that they don't. And Recoa has done the opposite. She's pushed and broken through her boundaries over and over and over and over, and shattered through them and become a guerrilla and a warrior and a fighter and all of these things, and she's ended up really confused. And so she's pushed again, further and further, and pushed again, further and further, taking on a different sort of rotated set of views. She's still got this self-identity that's represented in relation to masculinity, to Yazan, and to the other characters around her, and to the Tetons as a whole. But she wants so desperately to be everything that the confines of her gender will not allow her to be, as she sees them. And so she fights against that continuously. And that leads her down a different path. And then there's Rosamia, who has no control over herself, as far as I can tell. who's really thoughtless and forgetful. And somebody commented on this in the last episode and mentioned that she just sort of leaves her computer behind and chases after Kamiyu. And she just sort of leaves her other stuff behind and chases after them, and is sort of adrift in the wind, confused continuously, uncertain what she's doing, and unthinking in a lot of ways. And maybe, I've theorized, maybe truly unthinking, maybe cannot think, has had that extracted from her. And these are like our core representations of what it is to be female in the Gundam universe right now. And there are others at the edges. Haman Karn she hasn't had the screen time, and so she's not as embedded into my memory or my mind yet, but she's highly authoritarian and very controlling and very commanding, and that's very interesting. And then you've got the youth who's running the Axis nominally. Really, Haman Karn is acting more like a regent, but got all these other characters growing into their worlds, and so all of this stems out of just curiosity as to why I didn't draw a machine, for example. She's as frequently shown on screen as these other characters, but there's something about the way that they function as foils to each other, or arguments against each other, that I haven't quite unpacked yet. There's something there at the back of my subconscious that's interested in the way we've arranged this sort of spectrum of identities, of people, of how you could be, how a person could be, in relation to the constraints of the war, the constraints of reality, the constraints of piloting, and the constraints of gender, which is something that Tomino is clearly interested in as he's developed this story. So I just find that interesting, and that's what I drew today. We'll see how much Recoa comes into play in this next episode, and how much Fa comes into play, and how much, well, Rosamia comes into play. Because she might slip into the background, give us a few episodes of Rosamia just being a friendly weirdo on the argument. Hi, I'm Rosamia, I'm Kamiyu's sister, I don't know anything about anything, show me the ropes. And then she, plants a bomb and blows up the ship and is like, glory to the Titans! And they trigger her protocol. There are 3 flowers in a vase. The 3rd flower is blue. That's from Dollhouse, by the way, which is a great show that you should watch, and does have an element of triggering sleeper agents. That's the code phrase that's used. There are 3 flowers in a vase. The 3rd flower is yellow. totally changes the person and all that jazz. We'll see. We'll just have to find out. This episode is titled Activation of Grips. So that has to do with the whole Bascom being more active thing, I think. Is Grips the colony laser? I don't think so. Grips is the base, right? Grips is Teton's home base. So then activation of it, to me, just means like, everybody get ready, we're gonna do a thing. But it might be activation of a weapons potential that they have, or something like that. Or it might be just Bask leaving and Jamatov Hyman taking over, or it could be any number of things. I don't know, but it scares the fuck out of me, because Teton's doing stuff always scares the fuck out of me. They're quite capable of genocidal mass murder. I'm sorry, genocidal would be the wrong word, wouldn't it? Because that has to do with a specific population. Yeah, a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. So that's incorrect. I mean, it's certainly mass murder that they're capable of and willing to do, but not. It's politically motivated in a different way. So I don't know exactly what the cidal would be. It's multi-homicidal. Genos is race, so death of a race. Yeah, so that's not what I mean. God damn it. See, I type in genocidal, homicidal, suicidal, because I want to figure out, the other words that might have prefixes to the cidal part, and it comes up with Sabu, the wrestler. Terrence Michael Terry Brunk, known as the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, death-defying maniac, Sabu! God fucking damn it, I don't want to know about Sabu, I want to know about words. GPT! ChatGPT! My friend. My only friend. The truest friend. What are some words similar with different prefixes, but the same suffix as genocide, suicide, genocidal, suicidal, homicidal, etc. Thank you. Regicidal, killing the monarch. Ecocidal, destroying the natural environment. Femicidal, killing women. Fratricidal, killing brothers. Hey, cat, what are you messing with? Okay. Matricidal, patricidal, parricidal, xenocidal, extermination of a foreign or alien race. Okay. Okay, down the line of genocidal and xenocidal, what other similar terms refer to the extermination or large-scale killing of enemy groups, regardless of race or identity? Oh, that's pretty frickin' interesting. So ethnocidal would be a particular ethnic group. Democidal would be killing by a government or state. Politicidal would be the assassination or elimination of political opponents or dissidents, which is somewhat what's going on. Ideocidal, relating to the destruction of an ideology or belief system, often through violence or force. So to some extent, that's exactly what's going on, because the Tetons want to fight an ideology or belief system that they think is wrapped up by the Ayug, but it's also the forwarding of their own goals. Omnicidal is the destruction of everything. Militaricidal is the destruction or elimination of a military force or army. Terracidal, the destruction or devastation of a planet or its ecosystems, which is kind of what we think is going on the other side. Huh. What about words for the... So, like we had the example of colony whatever a while ago, where they gassed the colony just to be like, hey, fuck y'all, lose the war, say you're losing. It's sort of like what we did in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I say we. I shouldn't casually take upon myself the responsibility of the mass killings of people in those bombings. I shouldn't take those on casually, because I would argue against the responsibility generated by that, blah, blah, blah. So what's the term for when you kill a bunch of civilians to say, hey, let's not war anymore? Or I'll kill a bunch more of your civilians, bitch. Like, that's sort of what the colony thing is, and that's sort of what the Hiroshima and Nagasaki thing was. It's like, this is a threat, and we'll follow it through, and we'll follow it through more, and it'll be really bad, and you don't want it to happen. So, yeah, how do you, what is the term used for the mass killing of civilians in order to threaten or prevent further armed conflict? Terrorism? No! Shit! Oh, damn. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense to me. Oh. Is the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki considered a terrorist act? No. The stated goal of forcing Japan to surrender and bringing an end to the war. It is generally viewed as a military action rather than an act of terrorism. So, use of violence and intimidation in the pursuit of political aims, intended to instill fear or panic in a population or achieve its objectives. But if you do it under the auspices of the military, it's a military action. I'm not going to get into a debate around the morality of the bombings. That's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. I don't think it's a debate that can be had. We're so far past it. Regardless, like, you can't go back and argue about the state of the times effectively. You can't do it. So you next right step it. Certainly the next right step doesn't include doing it again. Tetons would disagree, though. They see it as a very popular and effective way to reach their goal. Blow up a colony and all is well. Fuck. So, it strikes me as, the history is written by the victors. So you perform a bunch of horrifying actions, and then once you win, you can say those were justified military actions. It's like, well, were they? Or were they terrorist actions that you've been able to justify ex post facto because of your situation as the victor? It's unclear. It's a little unclear. So I think that you got to just hope that the Tetons don't win, because then, well, history will get written in a very interesting way. You'll have the glorious victories of Bascom against you flip the terms and you say that the Argama and the Ayug and Whitebase and all these people, they were the terrorists, and they were, small insurgent groups performing acts of psychological and terror warfare and hijacking communications relays in order to spread their idiotic democratic anti-Earth creed, and and then you flip it, and if the Ayug wins, it's like, well, the Tetons were all this and all that. Shit, we're too deep down the political theory rabbit hole, aren't we? Oh no. I just wanted to know if there was a better word for killing lots of people, and it turns out, well, humans have done a lot of killing of a lot of people over our history, and so we've come up with quite a number of words to describe the process. We have a very rich language for different modes of murder, and mass murder, and specific group murder, and murder of just women, and murder of just men, and murder of civilians, and murder of military personnel, and destruction of environments, and destruction of planets, and destruction of entire peoples, and yeah, we've had a fucked up history. That's fun. I didn't want to think about that today, but you get to. It's part of your inheritance, you might say. It's part of all of our inheritance as members of the human race. To remember that people not so different from you and I are the ones who engaged in and ordered and took part in and carried out the orders to make such actions occur. People pull triggers. People push buttons. They do so believing themselves correct. So be careful if you ever believe yourself correct, I suppose, If you ever are very certain that what you're doing is right, especially if you're very certain that what somebody else is doing is wrong, maybe step away from that. Okay, well, we've had a nice depressing start to our episode. Activation of Grips, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, episode 40. We're gonna watch it. Hopefully it doesn't involve the mass murder of a huge population. Although if it does, that'll be more evidence on the side of the weird phenomenon that keeps happening, where what I end up talking about at the beginning of the episode ends up being the thing that's most crucial, that I see most effectively over the course of the episode. And it's unclear to me how much of that is like magical predictive power, and how much of it is like the obvious nature of where we came from in the previous episode moving into the next one, and how much of it is like confirmation bias. Like, I've already talked about all these concepts at the beginning, and so they jump out at me on the screen, and I'm more likely to recognize them and want to talk about them more as we move forward. I don't fucking know, but I hope that millions of people don't die this episode, because then I'll feel like I've been responsible for it. It'll be my fucking fault, because I talked about it at the beginning, and so it happened in the episode, and it's my fault. I'm being entirely I'm joking completely. The show quite clearly is what it is before I watch it, and before I say anything about it, but it does indicate something really interesting to me about the process of watching, and that the thing is not so obviously what it is before it's seen. It's like if you run a movie on a movie projector in a theater with nobody in the theater, nobody watching. Did a movie happen? Well, you could say that the tape played through. In the old style, the film reel reeled through. In the new style, the digital representation of the data was sifted and expressed onto the screen, but we get down to the definition of it. Is the movie or is the movie the experience of watching the movie? Is the episode of anime the 23 minutes of media condensation that's like sitting on my hard drive right now? Or is it the process of watching it? It's not super clear. It's kind of Tree Falls in a Foresty, but it's not quite Tree Falls in a Foresty. It's like the thing is materially changed by your observation of it. And it changes you. And the universe is different after that process. This is a weird piece of art that we engage with. Weird format of art that we engage with. It's time bound. It exists in flow and not in not flow. It's got a specific way too deep down an art theoretical rabbit hole. Sorry, that is the result of starting watching the series of lectures that are available. Oh my God, are available via the MIT Open Course program. You can just go watch them. There's a full series of lectures on film criticism and film analysis, and it's like, oh, I'll watch those. This will be an interesting refresher and a different take and a different professor on the film stuff that I've already taken. Fantastic. A full series of classes for me to watch in the background while I'm doing other stuff, while I'm cooking or cleaning, doing the dishes or vacuuming the floor or whatever. So I'm really enjoying that. I'm on the second lecture in the series, but I'm only one lecture in, and immediately it's having an effect on the way that I view things, right? Because there's this whole flood of different ideas that's being presented, and I'm sifting through them and adding some of them to my perspective, and it's going to change my perspective and add to my burgeoning, growing, overflowing perspective on what film and media and art and then in turn the criticism of it and the watching of it and the response to it and the analysis of it and the sharing of that. And man, we're a couple layers deep into it, huh? We're a couple layers deep into it. Okay, 30 minutes have gone by. I don't know why that just happened. Maybe it's because I took a cold shower and I'm just very excited and energized. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm going to watch some Zeta Gundam and I'm going to drink my damn tea. So excited. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. This is my favorite tea, and I've been out of it for a number of weeks. I've been using, I purchased something that I thought might be an effective replacement. I bought some Guricha as opposed to some Gyokuro from a different company, and it's different stuff, and it's grown differently, and it's got a different, very different chemical profile, it seems, and it tastes different, it feels different, it's different, it's not the same. And I don't like it as much, and I like this one a lot better, and this is the first pot of it that I've brewed since I got the new stuff, and man, I like it a lot better. Makes me very happy. Okay. Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam Episode 40, Activation of Grips. Under the iron grip of the Titans. We forge ahead into the world and find out what the hell Rosamia is going to get up to. Maybe what Recoa is going to get up to. Maybe what happens when Basque Ohm enters the fray. Any number of things. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me for this video. There will be two versions, picture-in-picture in the description, timer on YouTube, support the channel on Patreon, beep timer to watch Zeta Gundam. Let's go! Let's go! Man, that intro sequence holds up so fucking well. This show... Alright, I've been watching a bunch of shows for Treasure Hunt. And I'll talk about this because it'll be in the PiP and more of you will see it. I've been watching a bunch of shows for Treasure Hunt. A bunch of shit. This show looks great. It looks great. Not only does it hold up against modern anime, it blows most of it out of the fucking water. And I don't just mean like, oh, it's so stylistically interesting. There's so much more art. It's like, no. The representations of reality are better. The writing is more interesting. More difficult to unpack, maybe, but more interesting. The characters are emblematic. And the way they move is fascinating. The quantity of good animation per episode is way higher here in Zeta Gundam than it is in a number of the shows that I've watched over treasure hunting. It's a good use of time to watch this shit. Crazy. All right. You mean Nason? Oni-chan? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know what significance it'll have on him. You haven't told me. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, shit. So that scares me. It's an awesome idea. It's also among the best representations of the sci-fi theorized. Okay, so she's playing with the. She's very childish, huh? She's weird. Oh my god. Hey, so this is my friend. Hey? Who? What the fuck? Like a beaten dog. Insta fear. Cause she's former Tetons? Shoulder touch, shoulder touch. It feels really poignant. I don't know why. What? She didn't say she will. She said you're lying. That's a lie. Uso. Whoa. So activation of grips does mean what? Big laser boom boom. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hi, you're not meant to be here. I got lost on the way to the bathroom. Right. Man. Civilian. Yeah, what about a psychological examination? Yeah. Wait. No, he didn't. Whoa. No, where that did come up though. Did he not? I'm confused. Okay. Weird, interesting. fragmented. Almost like schizophrenic, childish. Man, I'd love to show this to Ed, to Psyculturist Ed, and get his read on it. You know, because like she's been cyber new typed and she's all fucked up in special ways, but like, oh hi, we're just gonna hang out. Ah, such a hot boy. Aww. Oh, he sure has. Whoa! Ura! You might regret saying what the fuck? Yo, manipulation on deck. What did he just give her? What the fuck? Is that just a play, though? I don't trust anything. I don't trust nothing from you, Sirocco. I don't trust nothing from you, boy. Ooh. Oh, he's running things now. Okay. Okay, fair enough. What kind of suit are we giving her? We're putting her in a Barzom? Is that Sirocco's old? Okay, he said I'll let you have, so he's giving her that. Got it. Okay, I'm sorry that I missed that line. Just move these rocks. I'm just doing a cleanup operation. Yeah, you've already been spotted, though. Okay, so try to go dark and pretend to be rocks. It's pretty clever. Zeta. Whoa. I'm just freaking out. It's okay. Yeah, but can you kill your fucking friends? There's a pretty big difference. Oh my god, you can. We're in it. How? They've got cool little hand cannon gun things. Oh, he's gonna think that it's Sirocco, though. But then he's gonna get a weird vibe from... Oh, that was a really cool little cut. He thinks that it's Sarah. Oh! Ho, 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 ho! Now we know, baby! Oh, ho, 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 ho! Ooh! Okay. Emma just has to make it back alive. Holy shit. Do not kill Emma for this. Just to keep that secret. No. No. You gotta figure it out. Come on, guys. What? Alright, Fa. Dude, she's gonna steal a suit. Ah, ha, ha, ha! Ooh, that was cool. Sara Janai. Sasuga Zeta. That's what I'd expect from you, Zeta. Yeah, you know who's piloting that, man. Whoa, that was another cool cut! Oh, that's both. They both heard the voice. That's spicy. That is cayenne pepper spicy. Holy macaroni. Hey, wait, you sound like my friend. It's the masala. Okay. Well, that was weird. That cut didn't feel as good. We had some really good ones, and then that one was not. I feel like I felt this feeling before. By golly. Oh my god, we're doing a fun. Hi. Yeah, you're fighting for the bad guys. Teton's patch clearly placed. Stepping away. You're still on our side, right? Yep. Believing the best. Believing the best. Why? Why? But why? I might. Well, you are making the things difficult for yourself, girl. What does that mean? Fuck. That's not what she wants. Well, that's fateful. He will be. Won't he? It's harbingery. It's like this door is closed to you. Yo. Also, that was cool. You must learn to understand me, otherwise you'll be killed by your own sincerity, is what I got from that. It's been a while. It's been a while. Calling himself a child again. Stay the fuck back, Rosamia. Hmm. Gotcha. No, fully got you though. Yeah, that's good info. Why? Oh, we've just lost and we don't get anything good out of this. Sincerity, I suppose. Hi. Innocence. Oh my god. Can't you see we're having a moment here, Rosamie? Hi, Doc. Mm. You should believe so. Hmm. Hmm. Activation, eh? Yeah, they've got the panels going. Some bitch. Que coda. Oh, under you. The Titan's way. Oh, no. Oh, call it whatever you want. The mass murder is about to happen. How many civilians can we kill today? Plenty and more. I got a vibe. And we're in the firing line. They're gonna fire on us. Man, he knows. Thanks, kids. Good job, kids. Yep. Standing right in the middle of it. Yep, you better make your peace with what you're just a part of now. Holy shit, Recoa. They full blow aside, huh? Rip thousands. How many people are on a side? Did I fucking forget? Too many. Way too many. Ah. Ah. Million voices crying out. Mass death. Yeah, but it's outgassing. It's gone. Huh. It's literally like the Los Alamos test. Oh, fuck you. Oh my gosh, Recoa. Yeah, how do you feel about yourself, Recoa? Now you're stuck. Now you're stuck. You walked off the path. And now you're on the wrong side of things. And you know it. Holy shit. Get some more human beings, dude. Awesome that we start the episode and end the episode the exact same way. That's why it scared the shit out of me when we started showing that. When we started having the, like, hey, look, these amazing things, these colonies, they're really cool. It'd really suck if one of them was shot out of the sky. Oh, no! Oh, no. Oh, that was an episode. What the fuck? Yeah, sorry. No. Okay. Man, I got plenty of questions about this episode. Also, I've written down a whole bunch of really cool cuts, just the timings for them that I kind of wanted to see. A bunch of them are like, there are 2 henshins of the Zeta that are really interesting, and there are a couple of scenes that are just like, fire your gun, move off into a different direction, and just the angle and flow of the scene is cool looking to me. I just want to see them again. But the fact that this episode is chock full of really lovely cuts of animation totally distracts from the incredible movements in the plot that have just happened. So, I asked some questions at the beginning about the nature of, like, talking about it earlier, and how what I talk about at the beginning seems to influence what I take away from the episode at the end. Something like that. Immediately, after having said some stuff about, I wonder why Emma Sheen isn't in the... She's not in the forefront of my... There she is. She's right in the middle of the story, and she's core to the episode's plot. and right front and center again. And then, well, I wonder if what we're talking about is some kind of mass destruction capability. And what does that mean? And it means different things to the various different people who have different angles on it, different perspectives on it. But there it is. It's right there, and it's front and center in the plot. Grievous is active. The colony laser exists and has been used. Tested. But used. And Bascom cackles. Laughs at the great power that he has. And says, now the guys from the neutral colonies in the moon will realize how pointless it is to oppose the Titans. Our agenda continues. Ha. And Recoa, good soldier that she is, calmly salutes and takes her leave, and then collapses as soon as she's out of the line of sight. Because she can't fathom the role that she's played in this now. Just by standing by. Can't help herself from trying to tell Camille and the others that what the people that she's with are working on is wrong. in the impossible hope that they might be able to do something about it, or at least survive. And they do survive because of it, as far as I can tell, because they're on the lookout. But she knows. On every level of her being, she knows, right? And this phrase it's out of context, but we get this beautiful little moment where she wibbles, looking back before she crosses the threshold, and then, having crossed the threshold, collapses and goes, "But I can't go back. But I can't go back. I've made my choice. I'm stuck." And it's so obviously not true. At least not on an external level, right? They'd welcome her back. Camille was even, she had the opportunity right there. Camille was like, "You're a spy, right?" Gives her the path, and she could just be like, "Yeah, I'm a spy. By the way, the colony laser's up. Let me come back to the Argamon. We'll figure this shit out." Can't do it. She's stuck. She's pulled by Sirocco. She's pulled by Yazan. She's pulled by the Tetons. By being in the grips of something else. Forgive the pun. Man, that's interesting. I don't know what to think about it. I don't know what to think about it, but it comes into play during the conversation between her and Camille, and it's really interesting the way that conversation goes. We're gonna skim. Let's go through. So we start off with space colonies and how beautiful they are. It's like in the beginning of an episode where you start off and you start telling about the poignant elements of a character's life. The things they love, where they came from, what they care about, the visionary differences that they have because they've met the main characters and become part of the plot, how their perspective has changed. And you look at that and you go, well, that's a death flag. That's some rapid character development. Well, this is development of the colonies. It's like, you've seen these a dozen times, let's show them to you again. Remember, there are lots of people on these things. There's a whole bunch of agriculture going on, and there are all these train cars, and you've had characters on them, and they're these incredibly fleshed out living ecosystems that are also, as we came into the episode and watched the OP, I was talking about how fucking good the show is, how multifaceted and well produced and well put together it is. And I can count on one hand the number of sci-fi depictions of like cool I forget what they're called, the cylinders that are what the colonies are based on, the theoretical cylinders. It's like Rendezvous with Rama is the Arthur C. Clarke vision of this. I think it's C. Clarke. I might be totally wrong. Rendezvous with Rama. It is Arthur C. Clarke. Holy crap. Cylindrical spaceship, McKendree cylinder, something like that. Big rotating. Or the O'Neill cylinder, which is the smaller version. And which is exactly it. I can see the O'Neill cylinders, and they're exactly what the colonies are. So, we had this immense explosion of theorization around space and sci-fi and all these flying vehicles and spaceships and the spaceships that go faster than light and all these different things. And they haven't really been, to my mind, they haven't really been effectively portrayed in American cinema. Partly because American cinema is so very focused on photography, on if you're going to show spaceships and stuff, you do it with miniatures or you do it with real stuff. You make it look as real as possible. And that's not what the Japanese sci-fi anime industry has gone with it. They've been capable of, anime and animation and drawing allows you to draw things that don't exist at all. They can't exist at all in ways that makes them feel like they might exist. And so these depictions of O'Neill cylinders are really beautiful to me. They're really spectacular to me. Because there may be, but I can't think of, I can't think of depictions of that kind of sci-fi technology, that sort of future space that are quite as evocative and interesting as this. Maybe the Halo. Really, it's like video games have to occur for us to start doing the sorts of imaginings. And I could be wrong. There's a huge lineage of miniature film and sci-fi stuff. A lot of it blossoming out of Star Wars, where a lot of these concepts are portrayed and are dealt with. And a lot of Trekkies love Star Trek because it deals with these sci-fi concepts in a semi-scientific way. But there's something really beautiful about the future, the human future that's depicted in Gundam to me. Even though it comes with the darkest aspects of humanity. The idea is that we've hit upon all this incredible technology that is represented throughout Gundam. These self-piloted mechas and these huge cityscapes on different planets and these domed cities and these docking ports and ports of call that are just floating in space, and these immense sides, these huge self-sustaining colonies that exist out there, and this just incredible capacity that the humans of this environment have been able to build, the space noids especially. And despite all of that innovation, we haven't shed the darkness that is part of the human spirit. We haven't shed Bask Ohm cackling with glee at his ability to exhibit force and power. Or the manipulative aspects of Sirocco, or the terrible creativity of the people who've done whatever they've done to Rosamia. We haven't shed those. It's not like the development of these new technologies has led to a grand utopian future where humans are no longer human, where there's something transcendent and greater than that and don't have the evils in their heart and all that jazz. It's like, no, that stuff is there too. And one doesn't preclude the other, and they come together. But I find the opening scenes are really lovely. They make me care about these sides again. And that's why it scares me, and they manage it. We open the episode with the side in all of its glory, and we end it with it outgassing and falling apart, destroyed by essentially the push of a button by somebody who believes himself completely right. That's rough. That's rough. So we depict Rosamia as very childish, on top of everything else. The other characters are like, something's weird here, man. There's something going on. Camille? And she's like hardwired to care about him so much. A little rub up against. Everybody else's eyes are on her watching this with dismay. He introduces Emma and she hates her immediately. And it's not in like a clear-cut, easy way. It's not like, oh, you're a sexual threat to Camille, right? He's gonna get interested in you. Stay away. It's not that. It's not explicitly that, at least. It's confused and weird. She just, doesn't like her and acts really childish about it. We get weird vibes, and Emma has those weird vibes, and it's unclear where those come from. No need to worry. Suspicious. No, she's gonna take you away. She's frightening. This person, no, and don't touch me. Okay, let her rest in the detention room. We get this series of hands on shoulders. We're all in this together. It's proximity and touch. Bam, and then it's on to fa. Bam. And even the little kids are looking at Rosamia like, you're not acting right. You're acting a little weird. I think that lady is going to run off with my brother, and it's like, again, weird paranoid delusions. What do you mean by that? Run to where? In what way? And it's really unclear to me where this stems from. Is it because Emma is former Tetons? If so, that plays into some of the internal struggle that Emma goes through over the course of the episode, where she's talking. There's another traitor, and she's a traitor. Fundamentally, for ideological reasons, she's following her heart or following something truthful, we'd say, and she's a traitor to our side. And so that justifies it, right? Well, maybe not. Maybe not. That's a difficult question. It's like, if you have to betray everyone you're with in order to pursue truth, do you? Should you? Kant says no, because the act of betraying is not something that you'd want universalized as a rule. It's a pretty bad thing. It's fundamental lying. It's like maybe the worst form of lying. So Kant's deontology says no. You can't act in that way, because if you extrapolate from that a universalized rule and you say that people might betray in any circumstance, then all of human society falls apart instantly. Falls apart immediately, and that's bad. But what if you're really on the wrong side and you're furthering the goals of the wrong side, and they're going to lead to stuff like the deaths of hundreds of thousands of civilians in the blink of an eye as they push a button and fire a giant laser? Well, then maybe you should betray everybody that you know and shift to the other side for some, maybe you should. And that's sort of the background of Emma's story. And so we bring that to bear on Recoa's story, and it's quite curious. But I wonder if that's what Rosamia feels from her, is that former Tetansness, related to the people that she's experienced being around as a cyber new type or whatever. It's unclear to me. Okay, so we talk about the debris. It seems like, probably it's not a laser emitter. They don't have the right amount of debris, but they are moving it, and maybe they'd be able to have a shot at the moon or something. So maybe let's go and we'll find out about the thing. And Rosamia accidentally stumbles into the room and is like, oh, I'm so sorry. I lost on the way to the bathroom. And it's like classic spy shit, but she doesn't actually seem to be spying here. She seems to be very frightened and confused and not acting. Really weird. Let's go. Is that the civilian? Yes. I want a thorough physical exam. Would that be okay, Camille? And that's really interesting. Char turns, but Bright looks at Camille and says, would that be okay, Camille? Like, asking him as though he's got some play here. That's really interesting. That's a big difference. I didn't catch that at first. He acts kind of weird in the face of it. Do you really think she's a cyber new type, like Lieutenant Quattro suggests? And he says, no, I've never said any such thing. Didn't somebody say such a thing? I'm going to go back to the other episode. I'm going to go back to 39. I'm going to go through it. No, we just get Emma saying, does something bother you about her? And he says, yes. And Emma watches as we fade out. Nobody says anything about cyber new typeness. So I must have... That's weird. So I must have conflated that, because then at that point, after the episode ended, I went and I did the research on Rosamia, and that came up with her history, and was like, oh, she's a cyber new type. She was working with this other guy, and he said, cyber new types seem really unstable, and you're not great, and she failed in the cat's mission, and all that jazz. So nobody said anything about her being a cyber new type at any point. Camille comes up with that on his own, and then attributes it to Char. That's really weird. Like Lieutenant Quattro suggests, I never said anything of the sort. What? No. Whoa. My head hurts. Please tell me more about my brother and about yourself. Tell me anything. But what's bothering you? I'm afraid to be alone. Maybe programmed in her, because it doesn't seem rational. It's weird. Rosamia is weird. All right, ships get a hint at some other mechas. What's that green thing? I don't know what that green thing is. And then there's the Masala. We get this amazing, fascinating interaction with Sirocco. Your heart was hurting, but nobody was sensitive enough to realize that. None of the men. And she's resistant to his explanation. You had no choice but to play the role of the strong woman. But here, let me show you what you really want. You want the Hugses. It's really carefully done the way that he invades her space. Sorry for using the term invades her space. I don't know if that's the correct characterization of what happens here. But he moves into her space. And then putting the arm through her, like through here, through the arm, is very specific. And then around and in. It's like, it's very slithery. Sneaky. I don't know what to think of it. And she pushes him away bodily. And he holds her tighter. Until she gives up. And then this warmth is what you actually wanted. And if my feelings turn out to be insincere, stab me through the heart and I won't stop you. And again, reaches out and touches her lips. And we mirror this with Camille carrying Fa across the hallway and against the wall. And then they stand in the same positioning. Like these weird mirror couples. Weird. I will return to the Jupitress. I'll leave the masala with you. Use it as you please. Okay, so that I missed I'll leave the masala with you as the line. Mobile suits. We'll send out our Barzum team. Also, send Recoa too. Maybe we can figure out from her actions what Sirocco is up to. Man, scheming schemer. Scheming schemer is gonna scheme. And you are the sortie. Okay. So they go, they push the rocks. Our objective is not to fight. We're trying to be very careful and very quiet here. And of course, it's Recoa who sees them. Little sparks. Nani? Ooh, a shiny. I know who that is. That's the Zeta. Oh, and a Rick Diaz. And eventually she stops. She unfolds, whoosh, pow. And I think that's the first cut. Nope, that's not quite the first one that I wrote down. And this is the pivotal moment. Does she betray her allies? Former allies. Yes. I can no longer return to the AU. Is again the justification that she gives. I can't go back. I'm stuck now. I've chosen my path forward. With that justification in hand, she makes her choice and she rats them out. Found them. Up goes the flare. Fuck, they spotted us. All right, so the fight begins. And 950, this is the cut. The first one that I wrote down is this one where he pulls, fires, and then zooms in towards screen. Oh, yeah, just blasts out of the way of a beam. Pew! So the beam hits at the same time that the momentum change happens. And so it's so obviously like, pow! Oh. And stop, cut. It's rad as balls. Rad as balls. Our mission takes top priority. Hurry. We get a turn and a henshin in a few seconds. Whoa! It folds the whole camera in. Womp. Whop. Who thought of that? Who thought of that? Whoa! That's amazing. That's amazing. That's really cool. All right, Lieutenant goes down. Recoa begins to fight for real. And Emma goes in, grabs her, and she responds and calls her by name. And this is such a reveal. What the fuck? You're dead. You're dead. You've been dead for episodes. What's wrong? That voice, could it be? It can't be. It's impossible. Back up, mobile suits. Rosamie's freaking out. My brother's out there. I'll protect you, says Fa. And she's thinking, somebody get me a mobile suit. This person who thinks of, she thinks of herself as a civilian. Camille's sister, all this stuff, but she's like, I could pilot a mobile suit. It's like, where's that coming from, Rosamie? You sure you don't have any repressed memories? No? Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. This is the henshin out, right? This is the, yeah. This is the boom. Oh my god. Again, these swooping in toward camera and like isolating us out and almost wiping the screen. On ones. I mean, now mixed in with twos, but it would, that... God damn. The way it tumbles in that first tumble. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's spectacular. That's really cool. Sarah, how long? It's not Sarah. Crash, bash, bam, bang. Bam, wham, boom, bam. Sasuke Zeta. Respect for the opponent, because she knows who it is. Dodge behind the rock, and he uses that to entrap. Spin around the other side. Attack. Slices through. What a cool scene. So that's... Whoom. Bam. Come here. And in that moment of contact, they're able to speak. And we get another face that's like, ah, you're dead. Do-do-do. All right, let's go chat. Let's go chat it out. So she just unsurreptitiously impacts into this clang. So it's honestly, this is a weird cut to me. Clang. All right. And then meeting. I love the framing here. Kamiyu with his mech holding behind him, gun up, right? Recoa standing there, but the thing that's that's like centrally located for her is the Teton's patch. She's not on your side anymore. She's in a different uniform. Ah, Hisashiburi. Oh, I get it. You're a spy. You're very kind. But no, I chose to ally with the Titans. I did it on my own. He's like, that's bullshit. I understand this. It's to make a better spy. You, please. While fighting you, I just wanted to prove myself to them. What does that mean? He tackles her. I won't take this. Why must we meet like this while we're still alive? Once we're enemies, we must go after each other's lives. Don't make things difficult for me. Oh, boy. Let me make the wrong decision. On my own. Don't try to stop me. You're just making it harder. That's the idea. That's the idea. I'm trying to make it more difficult for you to go that way so that you go this way. But she sees this as a foregone conclusion. Like, she doesn't have free will anymore, she thinks. It's like she can't choose anymore. She can't make choices anymore. She can't decide. She can't move back in that direction. It's weird. There's nothing for me on the Argoma. So that's reference to Quattro and the failed love, right? Right. And Kamiyu takes it upon himself. He thinks it's his fault. And so he says something like, I might not be good enough for you. But she hasn't even looked at him in that way. Not ever. Not really. So they talk past each other, I think. But at least I can protect you. It's the wrong thing to say. It's the wrong thing to say because she doesn't want to be protected. She doesn't want kindness, even. You're so kind that it's cruel. It's almost cruel. Well, he can forgive her, but she can't forgive herself. That's one element of it, I think. And so that's quite cruel. Kindness can often feel like a cruelty. Sometimes you want people to just thwack you. Especially when you know you've done something wrong. Sometimes what you want more than anything is for the society around you, the people around you to go, hey, that was wrong. Don't do that again. You go, oh, okay. I live in some kind of an order. People don't just accept me as I am. But I don't know if that's what's going on here. It's really quite unclear to me as we play out these characters. I just don't know. Someday you'll understand my change of... I will never understand such nonsense. And she says, unless you come to understand my change of heart, you'll end up being taken over and killed by your own sincerity. And that's prophetic. And like... So that line, placed where it is, convinces me that Kamiyu dies at the end. So take this as my prediction. I have no idea. None of the ending of Zeta Gundam has been effectively spoiled for me, as far as I know. you'll end up being taken over and killed by your own sincerity, I think is a prediction. I think it's a prediction from the authorial point of view where that knowledge is present. I hope it's wrong, but it seems right. Unless you come to understand my point of view, you'll be taken over and killed by your own sincerity. Maybe it's something like, unless you come to understand that humans don't necessarily act in their best interests or the best interests of those around them, you'll continue stumbling forward in a blind and naive sense that ends up getting you killed, because you'll think that people are just rational actors who have the good of all in their hearts, and that's just not the case. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's like, my change of heart, my decision to betray, is emblematic of a human tendency toward betrayal, and you should be aware of it and not discount it as something impossible. Otherwise, your own naivete will get you destroyed and betrayed over and over until you get killed. But I don't know. I don't know what it means. There's a layer of like some stuff gets lost in the translation, and some stuff was unclear from the outset because of the way that the writers of this show write. So it's killed by my sincerity. What does that mean? And she pushes him off. And it's a great cut, too. Bam. Black and white. Back to her ship. The hatch closes, and it's very much a closed door. Camille bashes himself against it. Open it! Open it! The way is shut. But she throws one piece of information back. The colony laser has been completed. Retreat. Please open up. You mustn't go. And off she goes. And the cut is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Especially this moment as it flips and turns. Yeah, ones. I thought it looked too smooth. Right there. It's like 3 ones in a row. You must return. It's still not too late and she can't hear. Recoa! That's over. She's gone. We bring the information back. Hey, you saw her, right? He says, I don't know. He's just, what do you care where I go? Thwack. None of that childish bullshit anymore. We're past this. Back to being a soldier, remember? And he rests back in the like, I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid. Fuck off. Don't treat me like I'm supposed to have my shit together. It's an excuse, because he doesn't have his shit together. This is only natural. And of course she attacks. What are you doing? Hey, stay the fuck back. And then we transfer that down. It's Rosamia, go play with the kids, you fucking child. And we grill him, and it's Emma who's the most vehement about it, who maybe feels the most betrayed. But then that's interesting because Emma herself is a traitor. So that's curious to me. Why does she feel the most... Why is she the most vocal about this? Camille calls her out specifically. You betrayed the Tetons? Well, it's different. It's different for me. It's totally different. And he comes back with maybe the best fucking line in the episode. I guess everything is justified if you're acting in accordance with some ideology, right? Well, it was right for me to betray them, because I'm on the right side now. Yeah, okay, what if she believes the same? She doesn't, is part of the problem. She fully doesn't. Recoa doesn't believe that she's doing the right thing. She knows that she isn't. She's not driven by some morality, and she hates herself for it. There's no righteousness to her. That argument falls apart. She can't even stomach making it to herself. She doesn't. She claims it's an inevitability. She claims that it's part and parcel to the human heart, that it's something you'll have to understand about people, but all of these are justifications for the act itself, for the choice to betray, to the choice to go to the other side. And all of that is, to some extent, a response to not feeling accepted or loved or whatever there. So Sirocco nails a part of it. Is everything justified when acting in accordance with your ideology? Look at the world around you. The answer is, to many people, yes. Yes. And it's exactly what we talked about at the beginning of the episode, in the very beginning, in the pre-discussion. Great atrocities, acts of incredible destruction and violence have been committed in every case, as far as I can tell, from my explorations of history and the past, by people who knew that what they were doing was the right thing to do, and knew that the enemy was evil. Knew it in their souls, deep in their hearts. Really knew it. Those are the people who are capable of pushing the button, of nuking a city or destroying a side. Because they know. Because their actions are in accordance with their ideology. So anything is justifiable. You just need the right ideology. You just need the right set of beliefs, the right framing. So it's worthwhile to be very suspicious of ideology and very suspicious of yourself when you know something, when you know it, when you like really know it deep in your heart. That's when you need to question most potently. And I think that's right on. I think it's right on. He calls her out exactly correctly. Oh, so your betrayal is justified because it was right. It was righteous, right? A righteous lie. An interesting oxymoron. A difficult space, philosophically. We got tons of examples of ideations of righteous lies. A lot of them generated in the front, or to confront constantology, which I talked about earlier. It was like, do you betray? The answer is no. Well, what if betraying is the right thing to do? Well, how do you define that? Where's the bright line? Where's the limit? You know, if staying on with this group of people causes the deaths of millions of people, and leaving them puts you on the other side of that, is it right to betray them? Maybe. And it comes down to the fundamental question of like the axe murderer at the door. Okay, so lying is wrong because if everybody lies, then that's really bad. And so you should probably not lie. Philosophically, because externalizing or extrapolating out from the event to a broad rule would lead to a society that cannot function and would be very deleterious to the functional structures that underlie all of our existence. You gotta have some truthfulness. So you shouldn't lie. Period. Well, there must be exceptions to that. What if you have the choice between breaking your word in two different ways? How do you weigh those against each other? A child comes to your door and goes, "Oh my God, I'm being chased by an axe murderer. Please hide me." And you say, "I will hide you." And you make a promise to that child. "I will hide you." And you secrete them up in your attic somewhere. A few minutes later, knock, knock, knock. You open the door. There's an axe murderer there. And he goes, "I'm going to kill you if you don't show me where the child is." Well, do you lie to the axe murderer? You say, "Well, what child? What are you talking about?" Now you've lied. And that's probably morally wrong. But it leads to the death of the child, probably, and that's not good. And you broke your lie. You broke your promise to the child. You promised them, you gave your word that you would protect them, and now it's like, well, do you break that promise, or do you lie to the axe murderer? And most people, reasonably, I think, say, well, no, you lied to the axe murderer. You say, "Fuck you, bro. I don't know what you're talking about." What child? I hate kids, right? You tell whatever lie you need to in order to save the life. Some things justify it. So it becomes a really squirrely gray area. It's a really squirrely gray area, and we haven't, to my satisfaction, figured it out. And so it's a good thing to portray dramatically, to portray in stories, because in stories we can get the essence of it. I just told you a story. That's a story. That's a narrative that I just spun up. It's not mine. Somebody else wrote that a couple hundred years ago. As a theoretical framework for arguing against constantology. But that's a story, and we take the philosophy and we say, well, what would happen if characters acted by this philosophy? And we generate a narrative around it. And we think in our amazing ability to envision potential futures, we think what would happen if this and what would happen if that, and how do we weigh those against each other, and what do we value in that construct? And well, we do the exact same thing in media here. And so we can have these really interesting occurrences. It's like A Machine is a character who believed wholeheartedly in the Tetons and then was shown that the error of her ways and went, well, fuck, I'm out. Later. Bye. Fuck this. I'm not going to be a part of this destructive ideological system anymore. But is that just a construct that she's created in order to justify her own betrayal? Yes, actually. Yes, it is. So could someone else create a construct and say, well, no, I'm morally compelled to join the Tetons because XYZ reasons? And yes, they could. And they could believe it wholeheartedly and be really, really stuck to it and really care. Really loyal. And that could lead them down a path of death and destruction and being Bascom's right-hand man. And, you know, it's like loyalty and acting in accordance with an ideology is exactly, and especially if it's loyalty to something broad, like a nation, maybe, or like an ethnic group, maybe, or like a political leader, maybe, or, you know, things like that. Loyalty, great thing, really. Most people think of loyalty as an obvious untrammeled good, a true virtue. But in many cases, it was loyalty that spurred the worst acts and worst atrocities of our recent history. Loyalty, belief, faith, love, compassion. You can use those goods to justify great evil. Maybe you have to. Maybe if you don't, you end up either scattered and schizophrenic and insane like Rosamia, because she has nothing to latch onto. It's just Camus overall. Or you end up shattered and broken and unable to move backward because you've moved too far in the wrong direction. You think like Recoa. Or maybe you get lucky and get in with that switch at the ground floor like A Machine and find yourself for 30 episodes or whatever working on the side of the good guys as framed by the narrative. And you feel pretty good about yourself. But it could just as easily have been the other way around. So maybe it's important to be very suspicious of ideology and very suspicious of self-evident truth. Very suspicious of obvious paths. Very suspicious of self-justification. That's a useful philosophical lesson embedded in this episode of Zeta Gundam. It's a useful fucking philosophical lesson. It's really interesting. And she hits him back and says, "Don't talk like a brat," which is essentially to say, I don't have an argument against you. I'm pissed at that. How dare you? How dare you call me out on my bullshit, bitch? That's exactly right. It's exactly right. You push somebody past their, you know. And she says, if all one has to do is live on their emotions alone, that's easy. I don't see, it feels like something has been lost in translation here. Because it feels like we're setting up an opposition where one side is like justified by following in the path of your ideology, and the other side is justified by living on emotions alone. And that's sort of what Recoa is doing, right? So there's an element here that definitely makes sense. That's one easy way to go. And she's saying, well, at least that's not what I did. I didn't just follow my heart, whatever the fuck that means. Recoa's out here following her joy and becoming an accessory to mass murder. I don't think that's right. And she's right. That's fucked up. It's like, it's so patently obvious to us as the viewers because of the way that things are framed that what Recoa has done is very selfish. Very self-centered and quite wrong. But I don't know. And he's got a good argument against that, too. So then why is it you keep having to slap people? Maybe if you had a better argument, you wouldn't have to beat me. Maybe you wouldn't have to use physical violence. Because Camus' been kind of poking at the underlying presuppositions of powerful people around him for his whole life. He's been like, yeah, should I go to this fucking judo class? You guys all are kind of assholes. I don't want to be here. And they're like, we're going to beat you up. How dare you? He's like, all right, I'm out. Bye. And, you know, he calls out Wong Li and he calls out all these other people. And we've had this discussion around the physical violence as put upon Camus and how valid it is and how interesting it is and where it comes from and whether these characters are acting in good faith is like, if I hit this kid, it will improve him over the long term. And it's not clear that they are. And it's unclear to me, because it's from a completely different time and place. And our ideas about corporal punishment are completely different and maybe wrong. You know, it's not obvious to me that, well, it seems pretty wrong to hit a kid. It also works sometimes. I don't know how to justify it. I don't know how to, you know, how do you mesh those? I don't know. But you'd better have some pretty good justifications before you start enacting physical violence on others just because you disagree with them. You'd better at least have your reasons in line, because they're gonna hate you for it. And it'd better be worth it. So Bright doesn't really take a side, but tells Camus to stop and tells Emma to stop. Well, it doesn't matter. We should be aware that the laser might be completed, and Emma does not find it credible. She doesn't want to trust anything about Recoa. She's like dismissed her. And he says, Bright says, I'd also like to believe it, otherwise we're left completely wretched. Like, we've only just lost. We've just lost Emma, or we've just lost Recoa, and we feel like shit, and we've been betrayed, and we didn't get anything out of it. So at least this would be one useful piece of information. So we'll keep it to ourselves. Camus says, the adult way again, lying anyway. Camus, yeah. I'll just pretend to know everything. That's what you adults do, isn't it? He walks out and he complains about it in his own framing, right? I'm supposed to pretend I've never even met Recoa, Tafa. What? The fuck are you? I'm supposed to forget about anything that they find inconvenient. And he pulls her to the other side, and we frame this really carefully. And it's the same frame as Sirocco and Recoa. Isn't it? I think it is. I think it's the same picture. It's really like, you could imagine this scene becoming a kiss, like for real. He says you're the only one who has the face of a child, and he values childishness, right? He just came off of saying being an adult is this shitty thing where you just lie and you pretend you don't know, pretend you know everything, but pretend that the things that are uncomfortable to know you don't know. But you, Fa, you have the face of a child. So what is he saying? He's saying you've got some real innocence to you, and I appreciate it. And also you're pretty. I think. I don't know. No way, it's a compliment. We get interrupted by Rosamia and Dr. Hassan. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not a cyber new type. Well, it hasn't been determined. Is she a spy? Yeah, I don't know, maybe. Yes. But, whatever. I know you have the burden of being a former Tetons member, but please don't say another word. I'm sorry about the incident with Camus. Interesting. So I don't know how that's resolved. I just don't know. And on the other side, Argama confirmed. Can we get a shot? Yeah, we can get a shot. All right, fire. Don't shoot Colony 13. And, this will be the perfect threat. You may not go. Remain here. You must get used to the Titans. The Tetons. She sort of looks away. That door is closed behind you, Recoa. Your chance to leave or to get out of here was there. You may not go out. You may not sortie. You may not make a different choice. So Char worries and has a fear. We're not going to make it. Battle stations go. We hold with Recoa right in the center of the frame. Stuck. Helpless. To me, that's how it reads. She chose this path. So she sits here and she watches, and all she can do is bow her head and know that she's contributed to the deaths of these people. And it's a gorgeous spectacle of light show and death and destruction, and Camus feels it personally, as Amuro felt something like it before. Congratulations. Ha ha ha. She takes her leave and finds incredible pain. Camus finds himself overwhelmed by the impossibility of the task in front of him. I'm just a person, and I'm fighting against power like that. Alone. But you're not alone. But you're not alone. Just like Amuro realized in the final battle, you're not alone. These forces might be bigger than you, but you're not alone. Whoa. That's an episode. Hey, inflection point, takeoff, change of things. Smash, bang, the Recoa revelation happens. Everybody on the ship knows about, well, everybody who matters on the ship knows about it. Smash, bang, Bascom is moving immediately. Immediately. Making moves. Smash, bang. A colony gets shot down. And now we're on the big scale. We're on the big scale of the conflict, and we got 9 episodes, 10 episodes. Okay. What do you think? Some questions for the audience. What do you think of the interaction between Sirocco and Recoa? Just in general, what do you think of it? I'm not going to levy a specific question. Just, that was weird. What's up with that? What do you think Recoa meant when she said that if he doesn't come to terms with yada yada, that his sincerity will be the death of him? No spoilers, please. What do you think she means by that? And then, in a broader sense, when is betrayal, or lying, let's say, because they're sort of the same thing, just in different degrees, when is betrayal justified? If ever. I'll just throw those out to the audience and hope that I get some interesting responses back, because I know that there are a lot of people who watch Gundam and who are watching this Gundam series of mine and are wanting to really think about these things, or other things in Zeta, or other things in Gundam in general, but who love this show because it's willing to tread this type of ground that has really fallen out of a lot of the public discourse that I see. We don't argue the justifications behind our ideologies very often. We just sort of scream them at each other and ignore each other. And that's probably not the way forward. Not if we want progress, not if we want to learn. I'd like to learn, and I think some of you would too. So, what do you think of this episode? What does it make you think of? I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. This has been episode 40 of Zeta Gundam. I appreciate your viewership and your attention and your time. If you appreciate mine in turn, you can show that monetarily via the Patreon, and that would be really cool. And, I'll see you next week for more Zeta Gundam. Seems like things are about to go a little bit faster. I'm excited and terrified. With that, peace.